So today I am finally doing my video about why we chose midwives over doctors this pregnancy. It's probably going to be like a decently long video. I do have a good explanation and like reasoning on why we chose midwife over doctors this time. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I will definitely be able to like answer any of your questions if I leave something out. My first experience is when I had Austin, and my doctor, like, it's not my doctor that I've had problems with. My doctor that I have for Austin and Nevaeh and me and like all through my pregnancy, he is a great doctor. Like, he's amazing. I really like him a lot. I've had no problems with him. It's just that in our area, and I don't know if this is everywhere, but in our area of Minnesota, like, when you go into birth, you get who is on call at the time, which is not my doctor ever, because he doesn't deliver babies, for one. So that's kind of like a strike against him. You know, he doesn't deliver babies. So I kind of knew that was going to happen. But, you know, so whoever's on call, you kind of get like whoever you get. And I went into labor with Austin. It was like I was leaving for work, and I remember I was like, man, Ethan, I keep getting contractions, and I don't know if I should go to work. I went to work, I got halfway there, and I was like, I have to turn around. I think I'm going into labor. So I was nannying at the time, so I called and I said, I can't come in. I think I'm going into labor. So I went to the hospital, and this doctor was on call. And she was like just really rude and like basically telling me like, nope, you're not having contractions. They're just fake contractions. They're Braxton Hicks. You're not going into labor today. And I was like, man, these really hurt. And it was not, I didn't have good contractions. I had back labor. Like, they were all in my back. So I was like, this is really painful. And Ethan was like, she has a really high pain tolerance. Are you sure like she's not going into labor? And they consider like if you don't go within an hour, if you don't dilate a centimeter, you're not in labor in hospital terms. So in hospital terms, I wasn't in labor because I wasn't progressing like they thought. So I went home, and she was just really rude. She was like mean about it. She wasn't very nice. And I just remember thinking like, frick, if I go into labor tonight, I really hope she's not my doctor. Of course, like, I get home, and I went to my mom's, and I remember like I was eating Jimmy John's because my sister brought some, and I took a bath. Nothing was happening. My mom was like, try to just lay down and relax. Tried to lay down in her bed. Her bed is so comfortable, and I just remember like being like rolling around like, oh my god, my back, like it hurts so bad. Then like my mom was like, oh, I just remember she looked at the clock and she said, okay, well, if this continues, it was like 3 o'clock. If this continues till 3:30, then we'll go. And I remember looking at it like, Mom, I can't wait that long. Like I was like almost, I didn't ever cry, but I just remember being like, oh, half an hour, like, oh my god, like it just seemed like so much time. So she was like, okay, well, we'll just go. So we went, and I remember thinking like, when does the next shift of doctors come in? Because like I don't want her being my doctor. Like, I just remember thinking that. And Ethan said the same thing. We both were like, oh my god, I hope she's off shift. And she wasn't. Went in, and it was time to push, and my mom was there, my sister was there, and Ethan was there. And my side of the family is just loud. We are always loud. We've always are. And I remember I was pushing, and they're like, 10, 9, 8, 7. And the doctor was like, okay, everybody be quiet. This baby needs to come into the world in peace. And I remember being like, excuse you. Like, I didn't say that because I was like 20, and I'm like, so sorry. But I remember like looking at her like, really? Like, we are the loudest family ever. Like, this is normal. She was like, the baby needs to come in peace and quiet and zen. And we were all like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not even the birth I kind of wanted anyways. I wasn't in that like, oh, I need calm and I need this. And so we were all like, okay. And then I got to a point where I needed oxygen. so I was using oxygen for a while and I gave it back to my mom, and then my mom was like, do you need it? And I said, no, I don't. And she was like, she said she doesn't need it. And my mom was like, whoa, like she just like flipped off the handle out of nowhere. Like it was so weird and like awkward. We were like, okay, like settle down, what the heck? So I remember leaving there like, I don't want it. I do not want that doctor again. And I don't even remember her name. And I remember Ethan's mom took a picture and was like, I took a picture of your doctor for you. And I was like, I don't want it. Like, I don't like her. It was like a really bad memory for me. And it just like, for your first child, it was just really like upsetting for me. So when I had Nevaeh, we actually got to pick the doctor that we wanted. And it was really great. Like he was, a different doctor and he was awesome and I really liked him. But you know, this time thinking about it, like, okay, so we got a new hospital built closer to us, and it's newer and it's better, but this specific doctor doesn't go there. And so that's when I kind of started thinking like, well, if he doesn't go there, I'm not going to go all the way north when I can go this way, whatever. I'm really bad at directions. So I'm just saying, like, in my way, I'd rather go towards the cities than away from the cities. My sister, when she had Hosea, actually, she had a home birth. And we knew we never wanted a home birth. I never wanted to give birth at my house. I don't feel comfortable with that. If you do that, I think that's great. But in my personal opinion, I don't feel safe doing that. I wanted to be where, like, if something were to happen, like, it would be close. So we started Googling midwives as well because Danielle had a really great experience and she really liked it. And I've seen the business of being born, and so it was kind of like one of those like wake up calls after I thought, like, I don't really want to be in a hospital with doctors, because it is true. Like, if you watch that show or that documentary, they have it on Netflix. If you watch it and you've had kids before, you kind of like relate with it because doctors are very like, they're check you. My doctors checked me twice. Otherwise it was the nurses. And the doctors don't come in until right before you give birth. Like, okay, tell me when she's having the baby and I'll come. And so they're not with you the whole time. They basically, like, the nurses are with you the whole time. They're the ones who are taking care of you. Doctors are very quick to be like, we need to break your water. We need to give you Pitocin. You need to get an epidural. And when I was pregnant with Austin, I didn't even ask for an epidural when I was like going into labor. I didn't ask. They just kind of were like, okay, I'll get the epidural started. And I was like, okay. But then once I had it, I was like, oh, it's really great. But then once I started pushing, it wasn't so great because I could feel everything. With Nevaeh, I had an epidural as well, but I was induced. And so I had Pitocin, and then they broke my water, and things weren't progressing as greatly as they should have been. Like, I was at a 6 for a really long time. And so part of me, like, there's a lot of me that I really like a lot of stuff to do with hospitals, but then there's a lot of me that is like, I want to do what my body should be able to do, and I know that my body can. My mom had back labor with both of me and Danielle. And so, like, I know people go through it and they get through it. And so this time with having a midwife, midwives are there the whole time with you. They know everything. Like, there's 1 or 2 nurses and they're not there the whole time. They don't check you. The midwives do, and they're literally there the whole time with you. The midwives that we chose, they are actually connected to a hospital. So, like, you have this birth center, and then, like, they have this tunnel that is connected to a hospital. So if anything were to go wrong, like, I can go to the hospital right down the little, like, they can bring your bed, like, if they needed to. So that's really great to know. It's farther away. It's probably like 45 minutes, and if we get stuck in traffic, it's going to be an hour. But in my opinion, in Ethan's opinion, it's worth it. Those are kind of my reasons. I have a lot of, like, different, there's just a lot of things that I feel like doctors are in for 2 seconds and you pay them a lot of money to just come and basically catch your baby and give it to you and then leave. Midwives, on the other hand, are not like that. They're very much more like motherly, and they're there the whole time, and they help you breathe, and they're very like, okay, if this is what you want to do, this is what we'll help you do. Not like I could tell my doctor, like, I want to have a natural birth, but it's not that he necessarily goes out of his way to try to get me a natural birth. Like, he wouldn't be like, okay, well, you want a natural birth, but God, it's been like 2 hours. I think we should give you Pitocin, which is harder, stronger contractions, and then which leads to you wanting, you know, an epidural. Your appointments are so much more longer than at the doctor's office. Like, the doctors, when I would go to get checkups were like 15 minutes long. Like, now I go and they're like 20, 30 minutes long, sometimes 35. Like, if I have a lot of questions, they just like block out a lot more time for you, and you feel more like they care about you rather than seeing like all these patients all the time. Like, okay, you're done, you like get out of here, you know. So there's just, those are some of my basic reasons. We feel really comfortable with it. Our insurance covers it. We don't have to pay out of pocket for it. But even if we did, we still would have done it this way. So midwives, in my opinion, they're not like better than doctors, because I'm still going to go to doctors once my kids are sick. But just for this birthing experience, it just seems a lot, it just makes a lot more sense for us to do it this way than the other way around. And that is just because of my experiences. I'm not saying everybody should go to a midwife at all, but when I had Austin and Avea, like, there was different experiences that I had with both of them that I was like, man, doctors, like, you just don't feel like they care all that much about you and what your original plans are. And unless you're very stubborn and very like, this is what I want, then they're like, okay, but still you get to a point where you're like, they're in for 15 minutes and then out for 15 minutes. And that's not just, I'm not saying like all doctors are like that, because I obviously think there are some doctors that really do care about your experience and this is what you want. And there are doctors like that, but I haven't found those doctors yet. And I just feel like my midwives that we found are like that. They care, and they go out of their way to make you feel like just really comfortable with your decisions and just really, really safe. What do you like about them more than you like about doctors?
I like the idea of midwives more than doctors, because the midwives are there throughout your whole pregnancy. When we had a doctor for the first couple kids, the appointments were maybe 5-10 minutes long. They weren't personal at all. The midwives so far in this pregnancy have taken at least 20 minutes to a half hour every appointment and gotten to know Courtney, gotten to know myself, our family. And when we actually have the baby and deliver the baby, the midwife is going to be there from the beginning to the end, walk you through it. Whereas when we had a doctor deliver, he basically popped in after the nurses said, okay, she's dilated to a 10, let's go. The midwives will be there walking you through the whole thing. So it'd be like having your own, kind of like having your own personal attendant at your wedding. Somebody that's going to take care of everything for you.